From the Samsung Production Studios in the heart of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, it's your News 13.
Brought to you by SSPTV and the Standard Speaker.
Police and EMTs head out to help a man they think may be ill, but he's apparently on drugs and tries to run them down. The dangerous job of trying to help others, our top story on News 13 for this Thursday. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kathy Baczynski. An incident on Cleveland Street in Hazleton got out of control last night when the safety of some first responders was put on the line. Christina Papa spoke with EMS members who were involved to find out how the protectors protect themselves.
Hazleton EMS personnel had their hands full when they responded to a call on Cleveland Street yesterday for an unresponsive man in a vehicle.
He came to, I announced myself as a paramedic. I was with the ambulance. I was here to help him.
When EMS responder John Bean walked up to the car, he had no idea the driver, Nicholas A. Casadas, was high on heroin. Casadas quickly hit the gas, and that's when things got messy.
Obviously, he got scared for some reason. He started up the vehicle and he inadvertently took off. My arm got hit by the door and I backed myself out of that situation.
An officer standing nearby was nearly struck by the car as well during the attempted getaway. Casadas' reckless driving left Bean with minor injuries, but those bumps and bruises could mean jail time for the suspect.
It's a federal offense to strike an EMS worker. Any public official, firefighter, police, a police dog.
APTS workers are there to help, and they do their best to stay out of harm's way. When an EMS responder's safety is on the line, they're trained to act quickly, professionally, and safely on scene. And that training definitely came in handy last night during the incident that happened right here on Cleveland Street. Operations manager Brian Cara does his best to protect himself on the scene, but some patients don't make backing away that easy.
And a lot of situations as such are drug related, and some of them could be medical related. If someone's sugar drops really bad or they have a head injury, they can be, violent with this and so on and so forth. And it is hard because you're trying to do your job.
Cara says some patients under the influence of drugs or alcohol may not realize they're endangering workers' safety.
He did apologize to me for what happened, that he just got scared and he ran away. And I said, I understand. I said, I'm only a paramedic. I'm just here to help you. And I said, now we're going to help you and take you to the hospital and take care of you.
Casadas was eventually treated on scene and taken to HGH for a heroin overdose. He was charged with several things, including fleeing police and reckless endangerment. He's in Luzerne County Prison tonight. Christina Papa, News 13, Hazleton.
A 6-month investigation ends with a drug raid and arrest in Butler Township yesterday. Butler Township Police, along with police from Hazleton City and the Luzerne County Drug Task Force, raided the home of 31-year-old Dixon Francisco on the Hunter Highway yesterday. Neighbors had been complaining about drug activity there for months, and that launched an undercover operation. Once in the home, investigators found 2.5 bricks of heroin, syringes, marijuana, and cash. They also found a loaded .357 handgun, 2 rifles, 10 cell phones, and even a sword. They also found several ATM cards that were being used fraudulently. Francisco was charged with a slew of counts, including possession and intent to deliver heroin. Investigators say the drug trade at Francisco's house increased dramatically after the recent raid on an apartment house on East Diamond Avenue in Hazleton. Francisco is in the Luzerne County Prison. Philadelphia man and a Pottsville woman behind bars charged in connection with the shooting death of a 19-year-old Tuesday night. 16-year-old Anthony Ballard of Philadelphia was charged with criminal homicide and first-degree murder after he was brought back from Philadelphia last night, where he was picked up by police. Investigators charged Ballard in the shooting death of 19-year-old Elijah Trayvon Caraway of Pottsville on Tuesday night. Police say Caraway was struck by a bullet when Ballard opened fire in the middle of a Pottsville street. Investigators believe Ballard opened fire in the area of West Laurel Boulevard and Sanderson on Tuesday evening after an altercation. While gathering evidence at the shooting scene, they followed a blood trail which led over a fence where they found Caraway dead of a gunshot wound. Arrested along with Ballard was 19-year-old Jamie Watson of Pottsville. Police say she drove the getaway car for Ballard after the shooting. Ballard and Watson were both picked up yesterday at Ballard's home in Philly. They're both in the Schuylkill County Prison. And still ahead on News 13, plenty of rain in the forecast with a few breaks of sunshine, though. We'll tell you when in News 13 weather. But first, a special night for some super achievers in one local school district. We'll give them the props they deserve. Coming up on News. Greater Hazleton has gone international this week. Penn State Hazleton is hosting students from France, Norway, and Penn State main campus as part of a 2-week entrepreneurship seminar. Student teams hoping to make their prototype ideas come to life competed at yesterday's showcase, which was judged by members of the Hazleton Rotary. The foreign exchange opportunity allowed for students to not only get exposure to the public, but also to get a better perspective of the American product market.
The experience of coming here to a country that's well known in the world and seeing what the business climate is like here and what entrepreneurship and what products are always under development, I guess, in this country.
We were going to find something, a good idea that we would actually use for real. So we came up with the idea to kind of expand print screening into print filming. So you can now just whenever you want to print film instead of print screen, you can just touch 2 buttons, it starts filming, so you can make how-to videos to send your mom.
The International Exchange Program ends tomorrow. One winner will be awarded a grand prize, and everybody who took part will leave with college credit and a broader view of the world. Well, some local students who distinguished themselves over the past 4 years were honored last night. Stephanie Gorney with more on a special ceremony held by the Hazleton Area School District.
Seniors at Hazleton Area High School were all dressed up in their red and white gowns Wednesday evening, but it wasn't quite time for graduation just yet. These 120 seniors from the class of 2013 were celebrating their achievements at the Distinguished Graduates Ceremony.
In order to qualify as a distinguished graduate at Hazleton Area High School, you have to graduate with a GPA that has a minimum of 97.0. So this is in lieu of a top 10 situation that a lot of the high schools have, but we're so big, we don't look at class rank, we look at what you've accomplished, and many of our students have certainly surpassed the 97.
These students have put in a lot of hard work and dedication over their 4 years at the high school and were awarded with medals and honored by family, friends, and teachers.
It takes all 4 years. You have to do a lot of hard work, a lot of studying, a lot of homework, and just pure dedication to your school.
Mr. Patrone stressed how proud he was of not just these distinguished students, but the whole class of 2013, and could not wait to see the great things that they will achieve.
I could say about them what I could say about all of our seniors. This is a great group of young men and ladies. I think it just goes to show you that Hazleton Area High School just develops outstanding students. There are outstanding teachers and staff members here, and there's no question this is the best place for any child to get their education.
These soon-to-be graduates will put on their gowns one more time on Friday to walk across the stage and receive their diplomas.
I can't wait. I'm excited. Even though they had to push it back a day, I still can't wait just to graduate and throw my cap up in the air and finally say I'm done.
Stephanie Gorney, News 13, Hazleton.
And one small hitch in Hazleton area's graduation activities. Today's weather has caused the outdoor commencement ceremony scheduled for tonight to be moved until tomorrow. That changed so the district can send off the seniors with a much-deserved ceremony.
June 13th, Thursday, it was originally scheduled for. Looks like a complete washout. And we will not take this chance. We want it to be a dignified program. The seniors certainly deserve the best program I could possibly create for them.
And once again, Hazleton area's graduation ceremony for tonight has been rescheduled until 6 o'clock tomorrow night at the high school. So while we're talking weather, you're driving your car when all of a sudden you're caught in a torrential downpour. Could happen on a day like today, but will you be ready to combat the rain? Christina Papa spoke with PennDOT to find out how to drive safely during serious storms.
When it rains, it pours, and that's when PennDOT says you have to be on high alert.
Luzerne County is the one county that we're really paying the most attention to right now, just because as we watch the weather forecast come in, it looks like this area has the greatest potential for getting hit pretty hard.
If and when the anticipated rain comes, PennDOT will activate their Emergency Management Center to watch the roads. They rely on folks to call in to report problems, but spokesperson James May wants to help prevent any of those issues.
I would urge people, one, to slow down, especially like here on Broad Street, when you're in a construction area, to slow down because you will end up with some really significant potholes many times after a storm like this.
Hazleton may be on the top of a mountain, but flooding is still possible. With the heavy rains, people should look out for flooded streets and never drive through a guarded off area. It's hard enough to drive in a construction site just like this one on Broad Street, but when it rains, something like this might pool, and that's going to make it even more difficult for drivers. That's why PennDOT says it's important to always put your lights on when you put your windshield wipers on. The streets aren't the only thing that may flood. That's where Fire Chief Donald Leschko comes in.
For homeowners, you know, if you are getting water in, you know, we've been called to pump basements out, you know, and assist homeowners.
The Hazleton Fire Department has 6 available water pumps in case houses in the area flood. But if a basement has less than 2 inches of water in it, the fire company says you'll have to wait for that water to drain naturally.
We had some homeowners get disgusted with us and say, well, can't you do anything? And our pumps just can't do it. You just gotta let the, you know, your floor drains take it and go from there.
Still, Chief Leschko says most of the problems are on the streets, and those issues can be prevented by just driving safely. Christina Papa, News 13, Hazleton.
So where do the storms stand? Time now for our regional weather from the National Weather Service. And checking the radar, we've still got some bands kind of rotating through the area. Most of the heavier stuff came last night into this morning, but there's still a couple of good downpours out there, and you're going to have to watch them throughout the evening, especially. Could still be heavy. Our creative condition perfect for a rainy day like today. It's by Angel Marinelli, a student at West Hazleton Elementary Middle School, and she says she loves rain, and she and her friends are out strolling in it. Now let's take a look at News 13 weather from the National Weather Service for Greater Hazleton. For tonight, cloudy with a chance of showers, low getting down to 47 degrees. And for Friday, it'll be partly sunny, but guess what? Chance of showers again, maybe an afternoon thunderstorm or two, a high near 68 degrees. Those showers dispersing through the evening. Eventually, it'll be mostly clear with a low around 52. And heading to Schuylkill County for tonight, showers likely, possibly a thunderstorm through the evening and into the overnight with a low down to 51 degrees. And for Friday, partly sunny, chances of showers and thunderstorms once again, high near 68. It'll be mostly clear at night with a low around 51. Well, tomorrow is Flag Day, and just in time for the holiday, 2 cannons at Pottsville's Garfield Square were just upgraded. Officials put new wheels on the artillery, and as Matthew Petrillo tells us, they're now ready for duty.
Thousands of drivers whiz past the 2 antique cannons every day. But for almost $2,700 for the cannon's new shoes, Dr. Peter Yasenchak of the Schuylkill County Historical Society hopes people stop to take notice.
I think people have an obligation to our forefathers who saved our nation.
The wheels are made out of hickory wood and painted black. The cannons, which silently guard the Soldiers and Sailors Monument, are made from bronze and date back to the mid-1800s. And even then, size mattered.
Typically, your cannons were huge cannons that you had. They were on a field and they were huge.
But when you're a 12-pound war machine, it's okay to be average. Or in this case, smaller than average.
These are smaller cannons, but they were very easy to move and very easy to use.
They may pale in comparison to the high-tech drones and war robots of today. But because of their functionality, the cannons were considered highly versatile during the time.
They were invented so that they could be turned on that boat at any particular angle, or they could be taken off the boat and put on land and rolled, and done very quickly in a matter of 3 to 5 minutes, taken from the boat and put on land and operated.
Now, a lot goes into preserving these cannons. They actually have to pick these heavy things up every few years and rotate the tires to preserve them so one side of them isn't damaged by water. But Peter says it's all worth it to honor those who have fought for our country.
A quarter turn so the water wouldn't settle in them because sitting right on the ground.
So Dr. Yasenchak says take a breath. Stop by Pottsville's Garfield Square and get up close to the cannons that helped win our American freedom.
Out of respect for those who never came back, you owe an honor to all of them. And that to me is what the honor is all about.
The previous wheels lasted only 9 years, but these new ones should last about 5 decades. And that gives the public lots of time to pay tribute to those who had to use them. Matthew Petrillo, News 13, Pottsville.
And let's check the winning midday lottery numbers. Good luck if you play. The Daily, 845. Big 4, 0842. Quinto, 14236. And the Treasure Hunt, 2, 6, 7, 10, 12. Hope you won.
Good evening, everyone, and here's tonight's Talk of the Town report. 2 announcements for this evening. First tonight, Catholic Underground will be holding a holy hour Friday, June 14th at 7 p.m. at St. Gabriel's Church. All are welcome to attend. And one more quick announcement, the Penn Rod and Gun Club is hosting a Children's Father's Day Fishing Derby Sunday, June 16th at the club grounds in Black Creek Township. The derby is free and open to all area children. For more information, please call 570-956-7992. That's tonight's Talk of the Town. News 13 would like to send sincere condolences to the family and friends of these recently departed. Emil J. Poza Jr. of Sugarloaf. Mass will be Tuesday at 10 a.m. from the Holy Annunciation Parish. Friends may call Tuesday from 9 to 10 a.m. Arrangements are under the direction of the Crofton Hughes Funeral Home. Yvonne Marie Cheeseman of Freeland. Services will be held at the convenience of the family from the McNulty Funeral Home. Evelyn N. Mowry of Sugarloaf. Funeral is Monday at 11 a.m. from the Harmon Funeral Home. Friends may call Monday from 10 to 11 a.m. Ruth J. Fields of Frackville. The Nice Heart Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. Beatrice Olenek of Hazleton. Memorial is Saturday at 10 a.m. in the Queen of Heaven Parish at Our Lady of Grace Church. The Joseph A. Moran Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. Iris C. Saldukas of Hazleton. Mass is Saturday at 10 a.m. in the St. Gabriel's Church. Friends may call Saturday from 9 a.m. until the time of service. The Firo Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. And Donna Butcher of Hazleton. Arrangements will be announced by the Stanley E. Analowski Funeral Home. Tonight's obituaries have been brought to you by the Smilax Floral Shop located on 15th Street in Hazleton. For delivery to all local funeral homes, call 570-454-0111. And by Mia's, once again, the Hazleton area's #1 rated restaurant. Call 570-501-3410 for information on luncheon packages.
SSPTV Sports on News 13 with Fred Barletta Jr.
Well, the finals of the state baseball and softball are tomorrow. We had very little action locally, and matter of fact, even in the minor leagues. So let's start out by telling you schedules for today's minor league games, the ones of interest anyway. Russ Kanzler's club continues its series with Louisville. That game down in Norfolk. Meanwhile, will the Rains hold off to allow the rivals to play? The Iron Pigs are supposed to host the Rail Riders. So we'll wait and see. What are we going to start calling that? The I-476 series, I guess? Whatever. Let's hope the weather cooperates. Now, the weather, not a problem this afternoon. The Yankees in Oakland just getting underway. Out in Oakland, Yankees haven't won out at the Coliseum in, well, it's almost complete 2 seasons. See what happens today. Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Phils in Minnesota a little bit later on. There'll be night games. Same with the Giants and Pirates. Now, as far as the Mets, that's an afternoon affair, and they looks like they're going to get it in. They're playing the 5th inning. Cardinals have a lead with the impending weather forecast. We'll see if they can complete it, but as we said, they've got enough innings in to make it an official game. As far as the NBA, Game 4 tonight down in San Antonio. Of course, the Spurs leading that one 2-1. Miami would like to even it up tonight. Spurs could take the commanding lead. We'll wait and see. Now, I don't know about the NBA, but I can tell you the NHL is going to be hard-pressed to match excitement. Last night, opening round of the best-of-7 between the Blackhawks and the Bruins, and it was a Donnybrook, a very physical game, a crazy game, and a game that just didn't want to end. They would actually have to go into overtime, not once, not twice, but 3 times. 3 overtimes. Matter of fact, it's now the 5th longest Stanley Cup playoff game ever played, and it was indeed fast and furious. Kept everybody up late at night. I just couldn't go to bed, but it was after 1 in the morning when the Blackhawks scored the game winner deep into that 3rd period. I thought for sure we were looking at a 4th overtime, but instead, it's the Bruins who take the early advantage. 1 game to nothing. They win 4-3 and take the upper hand in the opening game. But it was a memorable one if you're a hockey fan. Matter of fact, even if you're not a hockey fan, it was a really fun game to watch. Well, the only local thing we could find, Senior Legion yesterday. It was a real good game there as well. Swoyersville Stripes and Strikes, and the Swoyersville team won. Final on that one, 3-2. Swoyersville, for the most part, is the Wyoming Valley West Baseball Club, and you know that they went to the district championship and won the opening round in the state tournament, so a lot of good players there. Stephen Seach had a double, knocked in a run for Stripes and Strikes, but they lose 3-2, Senior Legion, and again, we'll be keeping our eye on the weather charts to see what we can get in tonight and tomorrow as well.
Plenty more news and information headed your way on News 13. The dangers that responders can face when they try to help somebody, especially when that person is high on drugs. That story and much more news when the 13 crew comes right back.